you.
I know that you've been listening as well to Robert Jenrick give his press conference right now. Were you disappointed a little bit to not hear anything more about social care? And so far, you are the shadow social care minister. So far, it seems that a lot of people have been talking about social care for quite some time. The government has been a little bit slow to react in social care. Do you think they're finally getting the message and doing enough for social care?
I think you're right that they've been way behind the curve on this, and we've got to remember that these horrific daily death rates that we hear don't include people who die from coronavirus outside hospital. For example, care homes, and there's a real worry that thousands more people have actually died from coronavirus in those care homes. I think the government should be publishing daily figures that include those deaths in care homes, and for people other people who die from coronavirus in the community. I think
have you been told, sorry to interrupt, but have you been told, because I know a lot of listeners will be wondering around about this, and we have asked the question, but we haven't got an answer. Have you been told why other countries seem to be including their care home deaths in the number that they put out? Have we been told why social care deaths and deaths outside hospital are not being included at the moment?
Well, to be honest, I don't really know why the government isn't doing it. They say there's difficulties in collecting the information, but as you say, they do it in Ireland, they do it in Belgium, they do it in France, so I can't believe it's beyond the wit of man or woman to do that in this country. I know from whether it's speaking to care homes or home care agencies in my own constituency that carers are desperately worried that they haven't got the protective clothing they need. They don't want to infect the people that they go to work to care for, and nor do they want to take any infections back home to their own families. There is pitifully little testing of care workers too. So, look, I want the government to succeed. You know, this is one occasion where I say I want to do everything I can to help them to succeed. But I think we need a much more detailed plan about how we get the protective equipment and the testing to everybody who works in social care, people who work in care homes, but also workers who provide care in people's own homes. This is a very undervalued and underpaid, but highly skilled, predominantly female workforce. They are amazing. I've done shifts with care workers. I mean, I can't believe what they do. They are phenomenal, and they are looking after the people who matter most to us, which is our mums and dads and relatives. So I think this issue needs much greater priority, attention and focus, because we are not yet doing enough to protect people.
And Liz, you mentioned protective equipment there, and the government say they're doing their best. There is a global shortage. They don't have a magic wand. I mean, it's true, isn't it?
Well, did you hear today that Germany is flying in 80 million pieces of PPE? I mean, if they can do it and find it, why haven't we?
Why do you think it is? It's like, it seems a mystery to me.
I honestly don't, again, know the answer to that. I think we were probably too slow off the mark here. I think if you look even within the NHS, where there's a much more sort of direct system of command and control within the NHS. They have struggled. But as you know, Gloria, social care is very, very fragmented. Thousands of different care homes of all different sizes, and home care agencies, and people who are self-employed who deliver care. So if it's hard in the NHS, it's even harder in social care. But I think one of the problems here has been social care is honestly, most people don't really know what social care is. They know what the NHS is, the GP and the hospital, but many people don't understand what social care is. And it is essentially helping people get up, washed, dressed and fed, the basics of daily living in their own homes or in care homes. And that sounds simple, but it's actually highly skilled, especially with people like who've got dementia. But this whole sector has been neglected, I think, for too long. And if there's one thing I hope that comes out of all of this, is that we see a complete transformation of care for elderly and disabled people, that the workforce gets the pay and training and status they need, because we are an ageing population, and how we care for our ageing population is a mark of a decent society. So I really hope that, as well as getting to grips with this crisis, that when we come out of this, that caring for our elderly and disabled people becomes equally important to the amazing work that's done in our NHS.
Liz,
you
when you
mentioned
come
those
back
people
to
who are cared for at home. Could you just tell us, you're talking about home helps there, the people that go around, make sure people can get out of bed, clothe them, get them a meal. What sort of protection or safety, because they're going from house to house to house, multiple visits a day, how safe is that? How is it operating at the moment?
Well, when I spoke to home care agencies in my constituency, they were worried about whether they had enough and regularly enough the protective clothing. They're not obviously having the same level as people who work in hospitals. And to be honest, I'm sure you've seen reports on the television in care homes where people have said, if somebody is really struggling, they've had to call 999. When they see the paramedics come, they have much, much better protective equipment than those care workers. Now, I don't want to set one part of the system against another, but these are supposed to be single-use masks, aprons, gloves, sanitizer. And my home care agencies are saying they're desperately worried that they don't have enough because, as you say, the people are going from house to house. And I don't think we have a grip on that yet, and we've really got to. We've got to do it and do it fast.
Liz, we've been hearing reports of the testing numbers. We still haven't hit that 25,000 tests per day, as we were promised exactly a month ago. We've got 12 days to hit 100,000 tests a day. Now, I appreciate that people sometimes can get fixated on the numbers. But at the moment, what we do know for a fact is that the capacity that we have is not being used up.
Yes, that's right.
Why is that, in your view? And also, we know that one of the biggest problems has been no testing in social care homes. So in social care, people in social care are not being tested. The front line in social care, the people who work there, are not being tested. Up until recently, elderly people who have been discharged from hospital have not been tested and going into social care homes and then spreading the virus around. Have you seen any actual evidence of this changing? And how can we get those tests to help social care? So
there is only one organisation in the country that has a systemic relationship with every single care provider, whether it's a care home or a home care agency or anyone who provides social care in the country, and that's the Care Quality Commission. They are the people who register and inspect social care. They also do the NHS. But now they only started being asked by the government to start booking care workers in to be tested this week. Now, that, in my mind, is way too slow. So what they've done is they've emailed all care providers, and said, if you've got staff who are self-isolating because they themselves have symptoms which could be coronavirus or because someone in their family has that, let us know and we will book them in for a test. But that's happened way too slow. Secondly, they have to go to drive-through centres to get these tests done. And, Gloria will know this. Many carers don't actually will walk to where they are providing care. They may not have the cars. And in my patch, in Leicester, people have to go to Beeston, to the testing centre there. And so it is very difficult to organise. So I think the way it's been done, the structure that's been set up, too few testers, too late in asking social care people to get the test. So that is the main problem, is people knew that PPE and testing had to happen in the NHS, and that's been hard enough to deliver. But I think they were just way too slow off the mark with social care.
Also, Robert Jenrick has had to deal with this question at the beginning of his briefing. we've got quite a few reports of small and medium enterprises offering their help for PPE. Your colleague and former guest on the show last week, Jess Phillips, has been saying that she alone has had several small medium enterprises come to her saying, we want to help, we are able to make PPE. They've had no response from the government, and that PPE has now been sent to Italy and Spain. Have you had the same experience in your constituency?
I mean, I've had, interestingly enough, different sorts of offers, for example, from our universities. De Montfort University has a long history of design, and there's been offers to help them there. I think, look, I don't understand why so many people who have offered to help. I think there is a place now that businesses can contact the government to say, we want to help. But I think the whole organisation there, has been slow. Don't get me wrong. I think this is every government throughout the world is struggling with this. But I do think of the PPE, we are still behind the game here. We should be mobilising businesses who can help us. On the testing side, we should be mobilising all of the different, again, universities who might be able to offer that kind of support. So, it is a challenge. But overall, my concern has been, in my job, that the social care sector has been too much of a second-order issue. And that's wrong. I mean, we saw horrific cases in Spain and Italy of huge deaths in care homes. So we should have known that was going to come here a bit sooner, I think.
And finally, Liz, I jarred a bit when Keir Starmer came out earlier this week and said we need to be looking at the lockdown exit strategy. I sort of bristled a bit because I don't think that's where the public are. I think they're scared. And also, I think it sort of muddies the stay-at-home message to be talking about lockdown. Was it a misjudgment?
I've had quite a lot of discussions with this amongst my non-political friends. Some people saying what you've said, Gloria, others saying, but we are all talking about how we're going to come out of this. Everybody's talking about it. How, when, where, how's it going to work? Will it be some sectors? Will it be some ages? What will it mean for businesses? What will it mean for I think, again, about social care. So, I personally, I think people are talking about this, how and when. Are we going to have to come back in if there's another outbreak? That's what people are talking about. And I don't often disagree with you, Gloria, but I do think, people can have more than one thing going on in their brains at one time. They can know that we want to make this lockdown work, but they can also think, well, how are we going to get out? Do we believe that? Is that the right strategy and approach? And I do think you've got to take people with you. So I do think it's right to say, look, we've all got to know what the strategy is, question and scrutinise it, bring the public with us. In a democracy, the public isn't stupid. They know the lockdown now shouldn't be broken, but they want to come out at some point and they need to know how and when. So I think it has been the right approach overall.
Okay. Liz Kendall, thank you so much for giving us your time. That's Liz Kendall there, Social Care Shadow Minister.